the insurgents.
After the day's visible work and activities are over, the king can spend 4, 5, or even 6 hours alone in his study at night, surrounded by teleprinters, radio sets tuned into police or army frequencies, and other communication devices. He debriefs himself on the day and plans tomorrow's trip.
Could you explain what you're doing with His maps, please?
If I see something, you see circles there, places that can be developed, and you can see a place there with a red thing there. It's a kind of for damming and for making a small reservoir. And then when there are the engineers, the irrigation engineer, I can ask them if it is practical to do that. And sometimes they go and inspect the place and can have a survey on the spot.
Why do you have all these radio sets everywhere, all these receivers, transmitters, telexes? What are they all for?
Well, communication. I think that you should know that radio is for communication. I don't have television here.
Now, I've heard people say that this is your personal intelligence network.
I wouldn't say intelligence, but sometimes it is very, very useful. Sometimes when you know about the news of some disaster hitting somewhere, you can help them very, very quickly, and that speed is the most important factor. So that I get the news by the telex or by the radio. Most of the what you hear here it doesn't concern me. It's sometimes there is a murder somewhere. Sometimes I can have some news of they have caught a caravan of heroin or something like that. It is better than to listen to the broadcast or other things.
When you sit here by yourself for several hours every evening, looking at your maps and listening to the radios, is that because you are a lonely man, or because you need to have some time by yourself after all the public side of your life outside?
That is a question that can be answered in many ways. I'm not lonely, and I have work to do, so I have to do the work. The way of doing work is to have some concentration, that is some peace, and then one can think more clearly. It is a way of preparing myself to be able to do whatever circumstances will have me to do. I gather information by listening. I gather information by looking at the maps, or at reading, or thinking. And then when time comes, I have the material in my head.
Standing under the portraits of her predecessors, whom protocol did not allow to work as she does, Her Majesty was presented with the Ceres Medal of the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations.
My husband and I are not content with only visiting or doing the conventional things. We must try to do something better than that. We must try to help the government to promote the welfare of the people, because we are underdeveloped country. So the task of mere visiting the people as a conventional duty of head of state is nonsense. If we cannot participate in helping alleviate the misery of the people, then we consider it a failure. be a head of state.
The royal family use helicopters to visit the more isolated parts of Thailand. Frequently on such visits, they perform life-saving service by removing sick people to hospital, or in the case of a border raid such as this, lifting out the dead and wounded. The king's work among the peasants takes him closer and closer to sharp personal danger. One of the king's many hobbies is firearms, and amongst other things, he has designed a gun mounting for helicopters. Is the time coming when he will have to put this knowledge to practical use? More or less every male Thai, kings included, becomes a monk for a short time in early manhood. A standard length of stay is 3 months during the rainy season between June and October, which is a kind of Buddhist Lent. On his entrance into the order, the king spoke to the nation and said, "From the training which I have received, as well as out of my own personal belief, it is my view that Buddhism, which is our national religion, is one of the great religions of the world. Buddhism teaches men to achieve good conduct and is rich in veritable precepts which are logical, highly impressive and inspiring. When a king is a monk, he is not obliged to beg his food from commoners. But King Pulmapan waived this rule and went out into the streets just like any other monk."
Usually my husband would come in earlier than I would and meditate, really meditate, because he could control his breathing and he could really concentrate. But I cannot concentrate and meditate yet. I'm learning. I only pray. But my husband said it's all right. That is the same thing as meditating.
How do you both reconcile your faith in Buddhism, with its emphasis on not taking life, no bloodshed, with your role as head of the armed forces of an army and its campaign at the moment?
This is a problem. This is a problem, but when a soldier holds a gun, this gun should be intended to shoot. And shoot what? Shoot an enemy. That is a living being. But if he holds that gun with the intention of guarding, preserving his country, with this intention, he is not sinful. And even if he has somebody who comes and he is the enemy, he must shoot. He has to shoot. Why? Because he has the intention of guarding his country, of preserving his country. And, by the way, also the religion. If the enemy comes, the country is gone, is destroyed, there's no religion and there's no good.
Loving kindness is the real thing one should give to other person. To give, not to take only, to give, to love. So that's the reason my husband and I can work year after year, day after day, without being ill. But we know that when it's time to die, nobody can escape.